Okay, hello, Crate Schools. Now we're going to take a look at the second part of the organization of the League of Nations, and we're going to look at the committees. So we're going to continue right where we left off with the Permanent Court of International Justices. So just go ahead and write the committees as a subheading. And we're continuing with our mnemonic, the sacrams, or however you wish to pronounce that, to help you remember all of the different parts of the organization of the League of Nations. Now, please remember, in the test, often you are asked 4-point questions. Now, when you go into these things, some of them have less than 4 points. And if they're a very small thing, memorize every point, and often they will then add 2 things together so you can have enough things. Because, like I say, some of the committees have very small points. Again, do keep in mind that Chapter 2 is a lot of memorization to memorize little things, and those little things add up together to make sure you understand the whole thing. Okay, so we'll go on to the first slide. The Health Committee. I really like this picture. This picture is from the problem in Greece, the Corfu crisis. We'll discuss that later in a couple videos, but I like just so they can see the quality of health. They've all got their nice white outfits. They've got their hair back. They're sanitizing things, but they're operating right here in just a nice tent. Just find it a very interesting picture. So the Health Commission dealt with dangerous diseases. They educated people on health and sanitation issues, and they brought experts to work with other countries. So let me go back to sanitation, make sure everyone understands that word sanitation. That's your Wasserkanal, when the water comes in and the water is coming out, to make sure the clean water comes in, make sure the dirty water is brought out. Sanitation is also the idea of washing your hands and keeping everything clean. Sanitation would also be here that he is sanitizing these cloths in boiling water. So that's what all sanitation is, thinking about it. Okay, so they brought experts in to work with different countries, and they collected statistics, they collected facts and ideas, and with those facts they were able to spread new ideas and help educate people about, you don't need to be educated on sanitation if you're already sanitizing things. So they can look and see who is doing that, who can they help out, and they work together to develop and fight diseases. One of the diseases they really were able to eradicate, to get rid of, is malaria. They learned how malaria was spread through little mosquitoes in water, standing water, and they were able to teach people how to stop that. So health committees were appear in our word, our memorization word, the sacrams, the H. So we're halfway through. Let's move on to the next one. The International Labor Organization. If you're following along in your book, the International Labor Organization is actually on page 30 on the online book. The health one is on page 31, so sorry, I forgot to tell you to get that book out if you have it. So you can pause the video right now and go grab your book real quick, if that helps you memorize it. I always have this picture of my head of what this mind map looks like, and it helps me organize everything. So the International Labor Organization is on the left side, the bottom left, in a kind of a lightish pinkish color. What they did is, labor is work, is jobs. So they just want to make sure the working conditions of all of the people in the League of Nations was good and fair. That's one of your aims in SAVE. Okay, if you remember the A in SAVE, is to make sure everyone's conditions are good. So they would take a look at the conditions. Some of them were quite appalling, quite people, being treated poorly, having long hours, not getting breaks, not able to go to the toilet, really bad things. And so they looked at what was going on. They collected statistics and information about these conditions, and then they tried to convince other countries to adopt it and make it better. This actually was a quite successful one. They did improve a lot of people's lives this way. So this is the I in the International Labor Organization, the I in sacrams. Okay, pause here, and I'll go on to the next slide. If you're ready, come with me. the Refugee Committee. So the Refugee Committee actually is one of the Health Committee and the Refugee Committee were the two most successful committees. They helped hundreds of thousands of refugees either return home or get settled into new countries. There's not a lot to say really about that, except for, these are one of those things that there's not a lot of points. So if they ask about the Refugee Committee, they'll probably put it together with another committee. But it is good when you're wanting to write about successes and failures to have this as one of the big successes. Okay? If you need to pause to finish writing, go ahead and do so. If not, I'll move on to the next one. Okay, the Mandate Commission. Okay, so what is a mandate? Okay, it's not an order, but a mandate is a territory, a group, a country. So let me go back a little further to Treaty of Versailles and help explain it that way. In the Treaty of Versailles, Germany lost its colonies. So what happened to the colonies? I've already told you in Chapter 1 that the colonies were mainly given to Britain and France. Now, they were given to Britain and France as a mandate, not as a colony. So the difference would be a colony would be that the mother country, so Britain and France, controlled and took the products and basically had that colony to look out for their own self-interest. But a mandate, you need to act in the interest of the other country. So when you rule the other country, you're ruling for them to be better. Okay, not for you to be helped. Okay, so when they're farming, the stuff stays with them. It doesn't go back to the mother country. So the Mandate Commission is making sure that Britain and France were actually acting on the interest of the people of that country and not acting on their own interest. Okay? Think about it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to try to explain it or have someone else try to explain. But basically the mandates are countries. And the Mandate Commission makes sure those countries are treated properly. That's the main thing to think about. Okay, so we have one more. We have the Slavery Commission. So the Slavery Commission should be very clear what it is. They work to abolish slavery around the world. But there was also a lot of people who were not slaves but treated like slaves. So when we're talking about the International Labor Organization and how some of the conditions were appalling, some of the conditions were so bad that these people were actually like they're enslaved. Okay, so the Slavery Commission also worked together with the International Labor Organization to try to help those people. Now, there's one other thing that is part of the organization, which is a conference of ambassadors. So they weren't really part of the league, but they did have a conference of ambassadors. So if you do hear about it, you do know that that's what it is. Ambassadors are the people that go to representatives of different countries and represent their countries, like at an embassy. Okay, so I hope that that was clear. That was my last slide. If you have any questions, let me know. And I hope you have a great day.